You're listening to Post-Credit Depression, where you're listening to our current hyperfixation. My name's Kaylin, and I thought there was only 3 songs on Hozier's album.
My name's Kinsey, and I still don't understand the album, but I really like it.
Well, maybe I understand more than you now, because that's why I was late to the podcast.
I know Kaylin probably thought we were actually knew every song, and
Like, did you know that this one was inspired by this, and this song connects back to that, which was referenced by Sir Isaac Newton's theory of gravity or some shit like that?
Sir Isaac Newton.
My name's Mariah, and my fun fact is I got to start a new Animal Crossing island on my brother's Switch.
Yee. Did you change
Wait,
your
I have
name
another fun fact.
Yes.
I bought a bunch of stuff for my art store.
It's exciting.
Woo! Bet y'all wish y'all could know what it looked like, huh? Bet y'all wish y'all could know.
Wish you could know.
Maybe if y'all get the paparazzi after her and expose what she looks like, maybe at that point it'll be Muda, and you can see everything.
Muda? What does Muda mean?
Useless.
Muda.
You've seen the 3rd season of JoJo, you should know.
I know, but I don't really remember things very well. My amygdala is very small.
But if you see the season 5, you'll see that it's referenced again. The Muda quote.
Muda.
Actually, it's just a Japanese word, but it's heavily used by that man.
What? Who is that?
It's a swimming man.
Who's that swimming man? Is that for Kaylee?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that ain't one of Mariah's husbandos.
You're like, I know everything Mariah like, and that ain't it. I know
Mariah was just playing with us.
Is this
she
new?
ain't gonna draw a woman. She teased us with a woman.
Actually, I primed that canvas. I sanded and primed that.
Primed it? Yeah, that's a good-looking woman on that canvas.
I gotta finish that one first, but I primed and sanded that canvas. It's gonna be Shenhe.
I can see her tits and all on that blank white canvas.
That open part of her thigh right there is my favorite part. That's the part I like the most.
This is the part I like the most.
You know, it's an artist's curse whether they draw more women or more men. It genuinely is. Like,
you know, I really want to draw more men, come up with male characters. But when I tell you, my hands just automatically go to drawing boobs every time I go to draw a character. I'm like,
yeah. I feel like an artist just has it one way or the other, and Mariah, unfortunately, has the man bug.
When I actually draw,
the man bug.
You just gave me a piece of paper and was like, draw. I'm drawing a woman because I love drawing hair.
Men have hair.
I know, but I just naturally draw the swooshiness of the girl with the hair, but this is just different.
Then you have furries like me, and I just like to draw animals. Just kidding, guys. I'm not a furry, but if you are a furry, that's okay.
We are furries. Stop lying.
We don't hate them. We're not one of them, but I love you. We are one.
No,
but
listen, we are furries. I'm tired of lying about it. We just aren't the kind that make the really furry wolves with the boobs. Which,
I just don't want to identify as furry when I feel like it's a little appropriating, when I just have a very strong passion for drawing animals and animals. I like it when the locomotion of the quadruped,
guys, there's a furry spectrum, all right?
There's a reason I liked Twilight Princess. I don't want to be like an anthropomorphic wolf or Robin Hood or anything like that. I want to run around, and maybe that's worse.
You're thinking too black and white. The furriness is a spectrum. You're not the anthropomorphic furry, but you are a furry, and I'm a furry, and I'm tired of hiding because we are.
Mariah's a furry.
Mariah is literally on the lowest amount, but yes, she is.
You play Animal Crossing. You literally enjoy walking around, talking to cats and dogs all day, and sheep.
And they walk on 2 legs.
I'd play Animal Crossing even if they were all humans, though. If it was human crossing.
Well, they're still animals. So that's a if. We're talking about reality. You talk to cats and dogs.
You talk to cats and dogs. Sometimes wolves.
I was talking about bean yesterday. I was at dinner. I was eating my fajita quesadilla. I was like, man, Bean is so funny. I would die for that guy. And then I was like, there's a bean in my quesadilla. It was disgusting. And then Kaylee was like, you manifested that. You were talking about Bean. And now there's a bean.
You manifested that. That's funny. You know what? Good one. That was a good one, Kaylee. Good one.
Yeah, Kaylee got some good one-liners.
Every once in a while, yeah. She pop off. She don't even be trying sometime. It's okay. Well, Kinsey, What are you sharing with us this week?
I'm sharing with you Hozier's new album, Unreal Unearth. Okay?
Bro, that title
And
got it. Unreal Unearth. I love it.
I know, I like his album title, like the fact that it's Unearth, because when I think of Unearth, I feel like digging into yourself or like
Mm-hmm.
extracting something from the earth. And we mentioned before we started recording that this album is really heavily focused around the 7 layers of hell. Like,
9 circles of
oh,
hell.
not nine. Shut up, bitch. The 9 circles of hell. So like going deeper and deeper into each layer and like looking at parts of yourself that maybe are not things you're the most proud
Yes.
of, but it's like real.
I'm gonna send
I
that
really
in the group
like.
chat so Caitlin can see it too.
What are
I
y'all
mean,
saying to me?
I don't have an exact interpretation of the title yet because, like I said, with this album, this is a lot to unpack. I don't even really understand the whole
Mm-hmm.
album yet. I just wanted to talk about it because I do really love the way the music sounds, and I know some of
Oh
it.
my god, thanks, Mariah.
Well,
This is awesome.
yeah, I was
Maybe
telling the
sometimes
same
we could
thing
do a
that
part two.
the thing is with
Whoa.
Wasteland Baby, you had it for so long, so you were able to interpret it, and this one has
Yes.
not been out long enough. Also, I think
Hmm.
that it's going to require some more understanding or research, which I told Kinsey Caitlin that Hozier Twitter, as Kinsey knows, they be breaking it down, but sometimes I'm like, I think I need a history lesson on that one.
Yeah, I think
Mm,
I actually don't know anything that you just said.
It's a little too smart
bro.
sometimes.
This is more like a Hosier episode of like, if I were to rip the band-aid off, what's my first review
Yes,
so far? And guess what? I will always love Hosier, and a year from now, I will understand this album even more, and I'll love it even more, even though I'm already obsessed with
yeah,
it.
I'm
So
down to talk about it, even whether it's just the songs I know deeply or just the songs that I enjoy listening to.
yeah, we'll do a
This
part
is
two for sure.
this is so good. Like I'm literally like rocking in my chair, like vibing to certain songs on this list, but like seeing what layers. I knew where Eat Your Young fell because I had seen that meeting. I didn't have the time to look up like where they all fell, but this is really
Yeah,
cool.
it's okay. I actually don't. I want to do more research with like the 9 circles before I even like break down that graphic. But I just thought it would be an interesting thing to share with you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, so you guys were wondering, you already asked about why my name was Worm on here.
No one
Um
asked.
yeah. But you talked about like your impressions of like the album. Is it okay if I like I'm not going to like start talking about songs, but I want to give like my impression overall before we start. All
Yes.
right. I drew a picture, a little diagram. I drew an infinity sign and I made like an album cover and it gave very much like reincarnation and cycles repeating and like how things die and reborn. And like even the idea of his album cover, which I thought was like, oh yeah, you get dirt in your mouth, dude. Watch out. Like don't get dirt in your mouth. Um but it's given like I know it's called Unearth because like it's going deeper and deeper into hell and like digging and a lot of internal like exploration. But I'm also like there's so many things in the songs that I've already like repeated like in references
Mm-hmm.
to other parts of the song and just y'all know some of the songs that talk about like cycles and repeating and like reincarnation, other lives and stuff like that. And I think of an earthworm, a very simple little creature, but like very good for the planet, very destructive, very fragile. Like, but I see a worm honestly as kind of like this. Him being in the dirt, he's giving me worm vibes, but like in a death and rebirth way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I actually wrote down with my notes about it being very much like a story of grieving. Like I was talking to Kinsey about how he wrote the song, like he said specifically about like an ex love that he just recently lost. And it's giving
Wow.
very much like you said the repeating cycle, the grief. And I actually wrote down last week when I was listening to it, I was like, it's I know Kinsey hates to talk about the existence of time, the concept of time. It's been 6 months since we broke down Wasteland Baby, and that's a lot of time, and a lot has changed in those 6 months. So it's very
Oh
funny
yeah.
hearing how we went from Wasteland Baby in only 6 months of understanding this love that he has, because Wasteland Baby is such like a love song album
Mhm.
about
Well,
everything, and then we go into this 6 months in the future, and now we're listening to Unearth. What that? What,
Unreal on Earth.
thank you.
Well, one thing I did want to mention, there's two things. So you had just said something, so I'm going to mention the second thing first because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasteland Baby is about like the world's ending and I still love you, wholly and 100% kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But with this album, I feel like it's an older, more mature version of the world is
Mhm.
ending and I'm not the same person.
Yes.
And I'm actually, you've seen the worst parts of me and I still love you. And I still love our experience
It's
no matter
yeah.
what, because there are songs on the album that talk of a love that is still going on,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'm gonna love you even if you saw me literally at my worst. But then there are also songs on the album that are saying, you saw me at my worst, we fell apart, and I still love you for that
Yes.
experience. Do you know what I'm saying?
Heaven can't fit our love.
Oh my god, I'm getting chills right now. So like, I'm
Um,
I'm saying I'm saying like in all, both albums still talk about an like over encompassing Pisces love, whether it's like you
mhm.
really changed one another
Mm-hmm.
or everything really changed around you, like in Baby. I
Yeah.
feel like this is more of an internal change though instead of an outwardly change. But one thing I want to mention before Mariah had said that was the last song is First Light, which I feel like that
Mhm.
song is him coming out of this deep introspection of like he's finally seeing the light again
Yeah.
after going through hell, walking through the layers of hell and coming out on the other side a different person. But we'll get back to that song. I just wanted to
Yeah, yeah,
mention
yeah.
that. I loved that the last song was First Light
Yeah.
when the entire album is supposed to be underground, you know?
I like that too. I have stuff to say about it, obviously, when we get to the end. Also, to describe the mood, because, like, Mariah and you both were, like, touch on the mood. I wrote down the words, ah, ah.
I
Well,
feel
you
like
know when
in
Hozier screaming that in the Francesca song, like the AH dash AH dash, and then he does like one more time AH dash AH. Yeah, that's the mood that this whole album gives me. I like when that man yells.
I love his voice. I love when he shows just passion, just feeling. Like he doesn't keep it in, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the cool part about Pisces because like being a Cancer for many years, I have sometimes had hard times distinguishing between like Cancer and Pisces just because they're very emotional signs, and I've always looked at Pisces as like an emotion to self, where like I feel like Cancer is like an emotion because like other people hurt their feelings or they're sad about other people, and Cancers are known as like the motherly sign, the nurturing sign. So when I looked at Pisces, I'm like, what are y'all crying about? But like honestly, they can see all the answers to the universe and the stars mapped out, and this man obviously is the oldest sign in the zodiac. You got Aries to Pisces, and I don't know. I think that Hozier is a very developed Pisces. Obviously every sign has underdeveloped and developed tendencies, but the fact that like you're noting, his sign with this album, I can't think of an album that's like this. It feels like some ancient fucking like poetry. Like it feels very, very refined wine. Like it's been aging. It feels really
Well,
good.
when I think of Pisces, I actually feel like they feel everything. So they feel for other people, they feel for themselves, and they feel like the depths of the cosmos. So like I agree with you. Before I felt like I understood Pisces, I actually felt like they were just like a sister to Cancer, that they were also just as sad, you know? But the more I understand Pisces, I feel like they take the things from Cancer and Scorpio and they put it in one, and then like they're worried about literally like other realities and shit like that. Like they're like all feeling on all levels. So I respect your honest opinion of like what you thought of Pisces because I felt like the same thing. He also has a Pisces Mercury, by the way.
Yeah.
So when he speaks
Well,
poetically.
I have a seventh house Pisces, so
Mm.
Hosea is actually like speaking about the love that I can't put into words myself. So I really appreciate him for doing that for
Well,
me.
funny you say that because I have a Pisces eighth house, which is about death and rebirth,
That's
and
crazy.
this whole album is actually about transformation and intense
And Death
reflection.
and
So
Rebirth.
Yeah,
what in death and rebirth. So really, he's also speaking to me.
that's
So yeah,
crazy.
I'm just fucking with you.
Nice.
All right, y'all
Anyways,
want to dive into the
let's get
songs
started. There are a lot of songs, so like we can go through them quickly and talk about our favorite ones. You know what I'm saying?
quickly? Okay.
No, I'm talking about like the ones where maybe we don't like really understand them, or there's not like a whole lot to say yet
Yeah, like
because we
let's be
haven't
honest. If
completely.
there's one you don't really have much to say, we'll just kind of talk and move on.
I'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
song's good. I personally just don't understand a lot about it yet.
What'd you say?
Like if there's songs, which
Oh,
there
okay.
are on this album, where I'm like, I love the way it sounds, don't know anything about it yet. It's just like the reality. I feel like I did not go on a much of a deep dive as you did, Kaylin. Really much appreciate that though. So if you have anything to mention about songs that I don't know a lot about, you could totally say it. But I'm just letting you know that
Yay!
there are songs that I don't know a whole lot about.
I love this like thing Mariah gave me too. The like layers to hell. That's definitely gonna like we're gonna feel the descent as we like go through each song.
For me, so we're gonna start with DeSelby. I'm just gonna start with DeSelby part 1 and 2. Like this conversation about part 1 and 2. I hate to start off the podcast like this. I don't know a lot about DeSelby. All I know is I love part 2 a lot. I love the way it
Hmm.
sounds, and the lyrics don't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So I'm gonna open it up to you guys if you know anything about DeSelby. I just like the way it
Yeah,
sounds.
I actually, when this album first came out, I looked it up because he's speaking in Irish, like in an Ireland tongue at halfway point in the first song. So I was like, I need to know what this man is saying. But I mean, I get the gist of the song really just being about this like new darkness, and that's why when we talk about the fact that the album's about a breakup, it's almost like him acknowledging that like there's this darkness around him. Like I think he has a line. I think I wrote it down that
Dang,
says
this shit
a darkness so
isn't.
deep that God at the start couldn't bear. And he's talking about how this like emptiness feels like basically so heavy. And like I feel the same emptiness that God felt that he couldn't even exist alone.
Shit,
So
okay,
for
I'm
the
reading the lyrics as we go, guys. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this song I would listen to. I'm like, love the way it sounds, and I really look at the lyrics. But looking at the lyrics, they're a little easier to understand. I agree. But say what you were gonna say, Kaylin, and then I'll make my response.
okay, so obviously like I started off strong with my research skills, and then as I was running late for the podcast, like I did a little less of the deep dive, but luckily we can start out with deep dive. For DeSelby, he is actually a philosopher who wrote a book called The Third Policeman, and he has a quote that the song references talking about how human existence, both life and death, is an hallucination, and how darkness, it's not that it's a lack of light, like it's like black air. And so in the song he says, at last when all of the world is asleep, so talking about nighttime, you take in the blackness of the air, like the likes of darkness so deep. And it said that God at the start couldn't bear. That's when God created light. He was saying, like, like God made the sunrise kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought, like, how fucking deep of this man to like reference like philosophers' work to describe like how black night is, like, you know what I mean, how dark it is. Like, it's not just that there's no light, it's that like the air is black itself and you can feel it when you breathe in, like holy
Yeah, you
shit,
should look
Hozier.
up Kinsey. He has a YouTube video breaking down this song specifically.
Well, the more I'm looking at these lyrics, like with this song, it's feeling like he's making these references to the beginning of the world being dark and black, to how we view our inner selves at the beginning. Like before you do a deep dive of internal work, it truly is as if there was no light ever because you can't see yourself in a mirror. He literally says,
Mm-hmm.
and sit unseen with only the inner upheld, your reflection can't offer a word to the bliss of not knowing yourself. Like you can't see your reflection if you're in the dark. You can't see it without any
Mm-hmm.
light. He said
Also, I
we
think that references another. I think it's a book line or something, and it's some theory that like you're never looking at your current self in the mirror because it will always be a slightly younger version of yourself.
Well, yeah, it'll always be like a different understandings of yourself as well, though. But like
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I know that's the
he
symbology or symbolism of it. Symbology.
and when he says, with all the mirroring gone from the world, but still the mind rejecting this new empty space fills it with something or someone. So what I'm saying is, when you are at a point in your self-discovery where you don't know who you are and you're in this darkness, like even though you can't see yourself in a mirror, like you physically can't see yourself because there's no light, you still make a reflection to fill up that dark space because you're too uncomfortable with not knowing what's there. So like people
Mm-hmm.
pretend to be a certain way, or like they make up a persona, they put their belief in someone else. Like I feel like this song is a really good opening to like recognizing maybe I don't know myself. Maybe I need to go deeper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then I
Yeah,
don't know any
part
of the
two. Oh,
Irish shit.
you
what were
have
you
to
saying,
listen
Ryan?
to it front to back because it like which I always pitch, but he tells such this story of this love and like his self discovery and like the heartbreak, the still love, like so perfectly. And so for him to start with this song talking about it's almost like imagine you're fresh out of a relationship and you're in this aloneness, this darkness, and it's like now he's self reflecting before moving forward throughout the album.
And maybe he's recognizing that he put that person as his
Yeah.
reflection
Well,
before
you start to
they
become
ended.
when you're with someone for so long, you start to become versions of them.
Well, I also feel like if you're dating somebody at from a place of like a little less development, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have a bigger risk of kind of like having them fill that dark void that you don't understand of
Yeah.
yourself. And there's nothing. You're not a bad person for doing that. You're like a brand new soul who that doesn't know what they're doing until it happens,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And now
Mm-hmm.
that they've left, he's left with the darkness of like acknowledging himself. You know.
Yeah. Before we leave the part one, part two, I wanted to. I wrote a line down from part two that I liked. Where we begin and end, I'd still know you. Not being shown you because it's dark. Um, if y'all remember that part, I only. What's it? Oh, I can't read my own handwriting. I only need the working of my hand. So he's saying even in the dark, like I still know you, but not like I don't have to be shown you. Like, ooh.
There was a Greek mythology reference to Achilles, and it's in the book Achilles, by the way. I think it's called. If you read it,
Are you
and he's
speaking
got.
into the microphone? By the way, you sound just a little quiet.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little better. I think it was just drifting.
Okay. There's a book. I'm pretty sure. What's it? It's either called Achilles or it's really popular. Okay, everybody reads it. It's blue book with a big gold like Greek helmet on it. Okay. Um,
Okay.
But it's about Achilles and his lover man, from what I've heard. I don't know if that's the main plot. There could be like a bunch of other shit going on. All I know is that he's got a lover, and there's this famous quote from the book saying that his lover would know him whether he was blind or deaf just by the touch of his skin, like with his
Mm,
hands. So when Hozier makes that reference to saying like I would still know you in the dark. I would only need the work of my hands. It really reminds me of that couple.
It also reminds me of the couple. Um, Kinsey, you're going to remind me their names. I think it's Eros is the one with the wings, right?
Eros, he's the son of Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, and he falls in love with a mortal woman, and he doesn't want her to see his wings, so he only like they get married and everything, and like they do it in the dark, and she's like, I want to see you, love, and he's like, nope, only in the dark. You can't see my wings.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of that too. A little differently. I think yours is a little more closer to the reference, but like, damn, just like, I don't need no light to know you.
I love when he says, I want to be when you fall on me like night. I want to kill the lights. I want to run against the world that's turning." He says, "When you
Mm-hmm.
fall on me like night." Like he's literally this man. All he does is talk about sex in the most like lovely of ways. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such a lovely line. I
I had
want you to
watched
fall
a
on me
video of
like
him
night.
talking about the song, and he was like, "The song's supposed to be like a sad song, but I added a disco track to it, so it's popping."
Yeah, I mean the next song, first time, I feel like is poppin', and I think it also ends sad. Like, or I assume it
Mm-hmm.
does.
Well, let's wrap up DSLB. Overall, I don't completely understand it yet, but I think it's very romantic, and I love the insights that you guys gave about it, and I really appreciate it. Do you have anything else to say about DSLB before we move on to first time?
Now we should keep it pushing.
Okay. All right. First time. First time is my favorite song on the album. And it's just my favorite songs will change depending on how much I listen to an album. But currently, right now, I really love First Time. I love the way it sounds. But the thing I love about First Time is yes, it ends sad, but I personally feel like it doesn't really end that sad. Okay, so he talks about this person he's with, and when they came into his life, the first time they called him baby, aka entering his life in a romantic way, a part of him died, but a part of him simultaneously came alive. And I feel like when you meet somebody who affects your life that deeply and helps you transform into the next person you're supposed to be, that is exactly what happens. A part of you that needed to die or leave, which is not a bad thing, just needed to leave, dies, and with their presence, they incite you within you new growth and new change. And I find that so beautiful. And by the end, he talks about like, you know, the final time you called me baby. No, he said some part of me must have died the final time you called me baby, but some part of me came alive the final time that you called me baby. And it was like, oh my god, I'm getting chills, bro. It's like literally finding so much beauty in this relationship and gratefulness for what it brought you and what you learned from it, and still loving them even if that means you can't be with them. Um, it makes me sad because I would hope that this person he really loves actually he could be with, but maybe he's at a point in his life where he can't be with them right now, or you know, whatever happened. But he still has so much immense love. He makes it so hard for me because he makes these songs about people who break his heart, but he truly just still has so much love for them, and I'm like, then just be with them. Like, what do you mean? Like, it makes me sad. But tell me what you guys thought about the song.
Sometimes it's not that easy.
You can go, Kaylin.
What did I write down? Oh, I put 3 hearts. I said ended sad question mark. I loved the way it sounded. I remember like this was a song that like genuinely had me like bumping in my seat. I was like, okay. And I really love the way that this man writes. I think it's just you got to be a Pisces Mercury to pull it off, but like just the beginning too, talking about like the uneasiness with himself and the uneasiness with like, you know, being called his own name. Like he's like, that just doesn't sound quite right. And then he worded his soul as an uneasy ally of the body, just like not comfortable in his skin. And I'm just like, the way that he wrote it, I really, really liked. And then talking, I thought it was going to turn into like and then you called my name and everything was great. But it was more than that. Like you said, it was like you killed a part of me that needed to die so that another part of me you could bring alive.
He literally compared, he said, in the first time that you kissed me, I drank dry the river Lethe. Do you know what the river Lethe is?
I wanted to ask.
The river Lethe is into Tartarus or in hell. Well, actually, it's just in hell, like in Hades' underworld. To Tartarus is an even deeper place, actually. But Lethe is a river. It's like a poisonous river. Really, out of all of mythology, it's like the worst river, okay? Like in Greek mythology. And Heroes, Achilles, was dipped in the river Lethe by his ankle. So when he was a baby, he was dipped except for the tip of his ankle. And it was incredibly painful, but it made him invincible. So he went through this incredible pain to become invincible. And a lot of heroes would try to go dip themselves in this river so that they could be unbeatable in battle. But if you can't handle the transformation, you'll die, kind of thing. And just imagine what it would be like to drink that water. Nonetheless, dip yourself in it. So when he says, in the first time that you kissed me, I drank dry the river Lethe, he's talking about her presence and kiss brought such a transformation, a painful transformation, that it changed him. But, like, he still loved it. He was like, it was, like, sweet but bad at the same time because it required parts of me to die. But if you drink the water and you still live, then you become stronger because of it. So when he
That's
said
really
that,
cool.
I was like, he said her kiss was so powerful that he compared it to the river of Lethe. Like, holy shit, that's really
That's
romantic.
really romantic. I really like that. And again, it goes back into our play of death and rebirth, which we all know the death card in the tarot deck is not as scary as people or normies might think. It, talks about accepting change and how even though change is scary, how you want to resist death. There's like literally like the sunrise in the card, and like you have to look forward to the coming change because it's here and you have to accept it. You have to accept the change.
I
You
love
have
a
to
man
accept the
that falls
growth.
apart in my presence.
What'd you
Anyways,
say?
I said I love a man that falls apart in my presence. What was that, Mariah?
When the album first dropped, I'd say this is a song that you can very easily gravitate to. It's got a very good catch to it. I remember on Hozier Twitter, a lot of people were not liking this song. A lot of people were
Fucking
saying it wasn't
losers.
that good. That made
Losers.
me so upset because I think even if you take apart like, oh, the song doesn't have to make you do research like his other songs, vocally, I think this is one of his best songs on the album. I think that you can
Yeah.
maybe not like in a range, I would say, but like to hear his raw vocals, this is one of the best songs on the album to take it in.
Let's be honest. Half of his fans probably come from just take me to church
No, this
times, and
is
then they're
like
just like,
Hozier Twitter.
No,
the
Caitlin, this is like
discourse.
the Hozier fans apparently didn't like this
Yeah,
song.
they were just saying it was a weaker song. And I was so upset because I think that, again, like we said, I think we're going to say this throughout these podcasts. It does such a good job with the whole rebirth part. I personally love the second verse when he pulls up this whole like metaphor of the flowers. Let me pull it up. I'm not prepared like Kinsey because
Oh yeah, like something plucked from the
he
stem.
talks about, I think these days to the flowers that were left by my mother, and he says that this life lived mostly underground, unknowing either sight nor sound, till reaching up for sunlight just to be ripped out by the stem. And then he goes into like this whole rant, and then he ends it. This verse, like even when you listen to it audibly, is so good because then he just kind of goes on this ramble, and then he goes anyway, and then cuts to the chorus. And it's
No,
my
but listen,
favorite
that ramble
part.
is so important, Mariah. That ramble is so important. He talks about the birth of a
I
flower coming
know.
out, pushing through the ground, all of its colors coming out for only certain simple moments until it's ripped out from the ground. It says, till reaching for up for sunlight, just to be ripped out of the stem, sensing only now that it's dying, drying out, then drowning blindly, blooming forth its every color in the moments that it has left. Like in the moments that that flower has left to live after it's been ripped out of the stem, it's trying to share the space with simple living things, infinitely suffering, but fighting off, like all creation, the absence of
I know,
itself,
it's
fighting
so
off
good.
the death of itself.
It's so
Like
good.
literally, a flower just trying to fight for its life. And in the last moments when it's been picked from the earth, it's still trying to enjoy its life until it dies.
That
Like
second verse is like my favorite verse in the whole song. So
that's how he
and if you hear
compared
it audibly,
being with her.
the way he accelerates his vocals while he's singing it, where it starts off this like so like sweet, and then it starts rushing, and then he's just like, anyway, some part of me died. I'm like,
I know. That's how he describes being with this woman. Like he's like, I like pushed out of this ground. Like I was so crazy for you, and then like you just ripped me by the stem, and I still am trying to enjoy the like what I had just done. You know, with you.
yeah,
Oh my god. Sorry.
it's good. No, it's good.
It's
I
good.
also wrote down the line, and there's limits to my emptiness, because this is now the third song where he's talking about this emptiness, this darkness.
Mm-hmm. Also, I like the theme of even the the flower coming from underground. It's like also this like immersion, like because he said that he's always felt lost underground. Remember, like I've hidden underground. Don't know myself, and then it's almost like this right when I was starting to discover myself, like right when and coming up from beneath, like this whole symbolism.
Like I said, this person incited growth within Hozier from a place where he was a seed, but then quickly, disrupts it by the symbolism of ripping him out of the ground. Like, it's this growth, death, and acceptance cycle that he keeps talking about,
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to move on to Francesca, even though first time was a lovely combo.
Yeah.
So for Francesca, I know I said first time is my favorite currently, but technically when it comes to like lyrics and like
this is my favorite song on the album.
This is my all-time favorite.
I would say Through Me the Flood, which is on the EP, and Francesca are my favorite poetry ones. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I've just been bopping the first time. But anyways, with Francesca, I'm just gonna leave it for me. We could still keep talking about it, but I just want to hear more of what you guys think because I'm curious. I really love just the comparison of saying that heaven is not fit to house a love like you and I. This absolute like you and I against the world. I literally don't care. I'm so in love with you, and I will commit any sin to be with you. That is what I'm obsessed with the song. But I would like to hear what you guys have to say.
Mariah, you first.
I wrote down that this song is a literal work of art.
Yes.
I think this song is amazing. I love the symbolism. I understand. This song was the first time Hozier introduced this concept of the depths of hell and the floors of hell. And the floors of hell apparently are rotating floors of hell. So when he gets to the end of the song and he threw on the effects of spinning while listening, like if you get to like the last part of the song, it sounds like he is audibly moving while he's singing it. And I think that is such a genius concept for him. And again, like you said, the lyricist of the love that we have and how it's only fit for us. And he's like, all this, I'd go through all of this again to still have this love right now. And we all know that I love love. I think
I love love.
So
I think it's a wonderful concept, and Hozier somehow yet again has made me sit here like
kicking my feet. I'm kicking my feet.
I literally kicking feet vibes. I remember Kinsey had posted this to her story like after it came out, and y'all be on it. I'd be asleep, and I woke up, and I like open or no. She had shared it was like the lyrics, and it was like specifically the first lyrics, like how dare you think I could scare so easily?
Yes.
You know what it gave me?
Sorry.
You know what it gave me? It gave me me kicking my feet when the Phantom walked towards Raul and said, "How dare you think I would hurt a head on or a hair on her head when it's all your fault?" But like, he's like, "Please free her. I'm so happy she's safe." He's like, "How dare you think I would hurt her when this is your fault?" Like blaming him, which I don't know. It just gives like this raw passion, which, by the way, guys, we have entered the second layer of hell, the lust one, which I don't think this is lust. I think, obviously, this is just about descent and about, like we said, unearthing, like, depths to who we are. But I think out of, like, all of the sins, like, besides, like, maybe wrath, I would say that, like, lust has such a passion and rage to it that, like, Francesca gives that. Francesca's giving,
like a different form. Like the fact that he's like, we weren't made each other, but I would still do it again is like this lust for this romance.
No, they were made together. They were made to be together. They weren't made to be together and live happily ever after because they suffered from it, right?
Yeah.
But I just love how he says, it's right at the beginning. He's like, "Do you think I'd give up? That this might have shook the love from me, or that I was on the brink? How could you think, darling, I'd scare so easily?" Like, that man is like, that's funny. He's like, that was nothing.
Get the soon after that,
he also like says, two Greek gods, right? Or like,
what?
Literally, like, isn't this song about like these two souls that were separated or whatever? I can't think of the name.
It's actually about a couple in history. I forget their names.
Yeah.
A woman who was betrothed to another man, and she was in love with someone else. And fuck, I don't.
Francesca de Rimini, who is a soul, being punished to the second circle of hell.
Ooh. Oh wait, actually, maybe it was a story. Maybe it wasn't real people, but
I had some.
Yeah, it's just a story about like lovers that weren't allowed to be together, and they chose to be together anyways, and they got caught, and
even though they knew they would go to hell, they were like, "We're going to be together anyway."
Yep. And you know what? I like that. Like,
I couldn't remember the names of the people, but I remember the lore tied to the song.
Yes.
Wow.
Which is why at the end, when they're going through the floors and the layers of hell, when you hear the distance in his voice, I know you guys know what I'm talking about at the end of the song when his voice kind of changes, and it's so good for him to do that creative twist on it.
Mm-hmm. I like the lyrics too. My life was a storm since I was born. How could I fear any hurricane? And then he said, if somebody asked me at the end, aka death, I tell them put me back in it.
Yeah, he'd be like, give me the exact same experience. I want to reincarnate with this bitch. Do it again.
Oh my god. And then when it said heaven is not fit. Okay, so I took that as like, obviously like this toxito love, this spicy love. Like aka we're not perfect in the eyes of like heaven. That's how I took it, but now I'm taking it a little step like closer to that symbolism of descent. Like, we're obviously going to hell together. Like,
literally, Caleb, do me a favor after the podcast, go back and listen to it. You can hear the way the audio changes where it sounds like he's literally falling through hell at the end of the song.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think their love is actually bad. Hear me out. I don't think they're bad. Their love sinful or bad at all. What I think is that their love is bad in the eyes of others. So if you think of heaven, that's like, I do nothing wrong. I make no mistakes, blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to say, our love isn't fit for what people think is right, but we think it's right. So we're going to be together anyways. And I think, honestly, at the end of the day, that should be everyone's love. I think if you love someone and you understand your situation with them, then it should be above all else that you shouldn't listen to what other people think of it or the standards that they put you to. Like, it's
and listeners, do not get that confused with abuse and feeling you have to stay. That's wrong.
I'm just talking about like if two people have been together, they've made some mistakes or whatever the fuck, or maybe just the fact that they're together is not good. Like I know this woman was betrothed to another man, so the fact that she still chose to be with this man was like seen as like adultery. You know what I'm saying? Like, I personally feel like they're being authentic and they're living the lives they want to live. Sorry.
And technically, they would be like fucking, stoned or fucking shamed for lust. They would be. Weird. They wouldn't be like that's love.
I feel like the truest love is actually being like, um, what's it called? Disciplined. Like they're disciplining this couple when this couple is actually truly in love with one another because they're expecting them to live their lives for other people when really they just want to be with each other. And I don't know, it's such a sad story to see like two people who really love each other be like thrown into hell because they wanted to be with each other and they didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
live for other people. That's why I think the song is so romantic because they still choose hell over, living an inauthentic life every time.
So, side
That's
tangent.
romantic.
Kaylin, side tangent. When Colin and I were playing Red Dead Redemption, because that's like his little gamey, we accepted this mission, and he said, I always pick the same outcome every time. And I said, huh, okay, we'll see what I pick. And it's this like old man, like at the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's not doing anything. Like he's not taking him seriously. He's like, I don't care if your wife ran away or blah blah blah. He's like, my wife has been kidnapped. Please go get my wife. And he's this old dirty man, and we're like, okay, what does your wife look like? And he's like, really young, blonde, super young, hot, like, and we're like, ew, okay, well, your wife's kidnapped, let's go find her. And straight up, she's trying to run away with another man. She's like, I'm in love with this man. I will kill myself if you take me back to him. Like, do not. And, like, your options are to kill the man she's running away with and to kidnap her, take her back to her technical husband, the old man, or to help them escape. And you have to kill off a ton of people who are chasing after both of them. And at the end, like, she's like, thank you so much, and they ride off into the sunset together. But I was telling Colin, I'm like, nobody ever picks the other option, do they? And he's like, some people do. I'm like, why? And I said, what happens if you pick this? And he's like, I don't know. We looked it up, and it's like, yeah, you kill her lover. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would anybody pick that one?
I don't know. People who don't believe in love.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, people would call her a sinner. They call her, a whore or whatever.
Exactly. And you know what? He had to kill all them bitches to help his girl out. And that's what Hozier's saying. Hozier's like, I'll commit any crime if it's in the name of you. And I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's like Aaron, ride or die. Aaron said, I'll commit genocide. So that's a different conversation.
Longest spoiler.
I'll cut it.
Anime spoiler.
Sometimes I forget that not everybody's on the same page as me. Do you guys want to move on to the next song?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're already at 45 minutes and we are on now the fourth or third song.
We can always do a part 2 if you want.
Yeah, let's do a part 2 because I'm really enjoying the, just the back and forth, even if it's new information being told. Just because, like,
yeah, we'll just cut it after Song of Nyx.
Yeah, his song, his album is very intense, so I don't want to, like, have to.
Actually, we'll cut it after Who We Are because Son of Nyx does really good at bleeding into all things in.
Okay. So for I Carry On, I like.
I carry on.
Jesus Christ. For I Carry On, I like giving like these little blurbs right at the beginning of the song and then seeing what you guys have to say and continue talking about it. My favorite part about the song is the fact that it talks about choosing to lock arms with your lover even if you are falling to your death. Like, I will fall to my death and literally burn and hit the ground as long as you just don't fall away from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here through any hard transformation as long as you are here with me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that is, like, the level of devotion to tell somebody, I'll love you forever and I'll get married to you and I'll live a happy life with you is easy. But when you choose to stay with someone through something that intense or traumatic, like change within your life, that is what true love is. Because like, to find love in, like, those darkest places or painful places is what real love is, So that's why I really love this song. The obviously Icarus
comparison. 2 for 2, man.
Yeah.
2 for 2 with, like, the whole Wasteland Baby having a song about Icarus too.
Yeah, but
I actually talked. I was DMing a girl from Hozier Twitter, and we were talking about the song, and she said that because they're crazy and they know everything about Hozier ever. They had said that he had actually said after he performed the song once that it very much ties back to Icarus, to Sunlight, and that reference. And he was saying that, like, the point of this one is that he didn't realize that he was falling because he was so blinded by the feelings and overwhelmness of the feeling that Icarus had when flying towards the sun, that when he started to fall, he was too, like, joyful to even process that he was falling. So basically, like, talking about the relationship when it was falling apart, not realizing
But with this
because
one, he chooses to fall with her.
that's what he's talking about. This song, he's saying that with the fall, he doesn't realize that it's a fall at first.
That is true.
He
But I
he
mean,
had said that when he was performing it.
if you look back at Sunlight, if we're just like looking at the difference with the lyrics, he talks about how her love is like the sun, and that it feels so good that he doesn't notice he's falling,
Yeah.
and that he would fall anyways just because it feels so good. And it's more like him, like his perspective of it. But this song talks about falling with one another, not just his experience.
Yeah.
Like choosing to fall with someone, even if it doesn't feel like falling. Like if they're falling and experiencing things in their relationship that are intense or hard, it still doesn't feel like falling to him because he's with her, you know? And he's like, with a breath of air, you'll use, what did he say? He said something about how she helps him fly with like a breath of air. Just ignore me, whatever. He does say that. He just says like how she literally is the air that lifts his wings up.
Mm-hmm.
So if they fall together, he doesn't give a shit. He's like, we're going to be fine anyways. But if we do fall and hit the ground, we can get back up kind of thing. Like, except it's just like this cycle. He keeps talking about with each one of his songs, cycles of you will fall, so accept it. But you can get back up and rebirth and learn more. And it will go over and over and over again. And the more you try to fight it, the harder you're going to make it for yourself. So I like how this Icarus song is more about him and his partner and not just how his partner affects him. You know?
Yeah, and it's again about, like we said, their death and rebirth. I mean, we're talking about like, what's it called, like carcass. You know, like the
carcass.
Yep.
No, yeah, Kaylin. Actually,
he's talking about the decaying of flesh when in the song.
Yeah, carry on or whatever.
I was thinking of Icarus. Like I thought you were saying carcass.
No.
I was like,
yeah, carry on is like dead flesh, like decaying. So I think it still continuously talks about this metamorphosis that he's referring to.
Yeah, it says I dead flesh. That's what carry on means.
Okay. So like when he talks about the Icarus part of Sunlight, that he has gotten too close to the sun and now he is like this dying flesh of it, the change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say about this one.
It's okay.
I mean, nothing that you guys haven't said.
All right, let's move on to Eat Your Young. So, with Eat Your Young, I haven't even really been talking about the way the songs sound, and it's not that they don't sound good, it's just the lyrics are so, like, meaty and good and delicious. Okay, I'm so sorry. But with Eat Your Young, love the way it sounds. I will put it on any day. Any of these songs I would, but I'm just saying, like, if I want to bop, I put this song on. And I love how Hozier is so cutthroat with his... Yeah, he talks about love. He talks about how much he loves somebody, and I think it's so romantic. But when he wants to talk about dystopian society and, like, the injustices...
How bad the world is.
That man will pull out everything. He don't give a fuck. And I love that. And I love how this song is referring to the greed of human beings and what they're willing to not sacrifice, but literally let suffer for what they want. You know, like, and not themselves suffering. Like, they will let other people suffer. And I love just
I give him so much credit for his like acknowledgement of like social justice. I mean, I remember Nina Has Power, like he was like, this song had so much more depth to it. So when Eat Your Young came out, I remember I was just like, yeah, it's like a good song. And Kinsey had broke it down to me once because she like spent 24 hours listening to the 3 songs that came out on the EP. I came home from work one day, and Kinsey was like, let me tell you exactly what this song means. And I was like, perfect. And then I was like, shit. And I remember I didn't really love it at first. Like I was hooked on the other 2 songs on the EP.
Yeah.
But now when I listen to it, I'm like, this is a good song.
Well, and I like this one
poppy, catchy song with deep lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
I like how this one sounds more than Nina Cried Power personally.
I love the way Nina Cried Power, but it's okay. You can like, there's nothing wrong with like preferring how other songs sound over others. You know, that's like a preference. You know what I'm saying? But I do love the way Eat Your Young sounds. I actually would probably listen to it more, just because the sound. But I love one thing I love about Hozier is like his outlandish shit that he says, and like just like eating your young, right? Like you say that out loud right now, and people are gonna be like, oh my god, that's so crazy. Like I could never eat my children, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's lots of things we've said in past history that we said we'd never do, and we are doing today. Like, what's it called? Camps? You know, like concentration camps?
Yeah, concentration
We all
camp.
talk about, oh my god, that was horrible. But it's still going on today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's still a real thing. And I think Hozier took something so intense, like eating your children, to compare it to what is the wrong that is going on in today's society. Because honestly, with the way consumerism and things like that, I'm gonna say whatever I want to say. I feel like human beings are capable of even being that fucking insane to eat their kids.
Yeah, I mean, I I think okay. So first of all, um, I wanted to reference some one of the research bits I found. It said that the title could be alluding to the 1729 satirical essay called "A Modest Proposal" by Jonathan Swift, where he suggests as a solution to poverty in Ireland at the time that the poor should sell their children to be cannibalized by the rich. Which, you know, we've been talking about even the way that like I think I was talking to a girl in the mall about it the other day, but like I think I was just feeling really disgusted. You know how people leave their like fucking garbage around for service workers to pick up? Like they'll buy a coffee from one store, like or a coffee shop in the mall, and they'll walk over to a department store and leave it like sitting on a pile of clothes or something for it to spill and like, you know, for some teenager to like clean up. And I think about other countries who are way more like courteous of others and come together as a community, and the only reason humanity has been able to rise up to be like one of the top species of the planet, the, you know, dominant species of the planet, is because we like came together and built societies. And I just seeing how greedy individuals got to like unlevel the scales, you know, like, you know, the 1% and what sacrifice it comes to like the people, everyone else. It's just, I think it's gotten to the point where even the poor people are becoming so desensitized to it too. Like you said, consumerism. Like
Yes.
the poor people don't even realize how like screwed we're getting, because like we're literally being fed garbage and shit, and like our bodies are being used as like gears in a cog to keep the rich up. And
Exactly.
you know, no, Ryan and I were talking about like, you know, we were talking about this woman like acquainted to, you know, us or whatever, and how she keeps having kids but she's on drugs, and they keep taking those kids and putting them into the adoption agency. And I was like, okay, not to force this upon her, but to make it as an option. Why not, after she has one of her children, the hospital offer like a, hey, we see that you're having a hard time, would you like us to offer a complimentary like tubes tied, it's completely reversible, and when you're ready to have kids one day, you can reverse it and have children. And then when I said it out loud, I was like, wait, no, the government wants bodies. They want more
They want
bodies.
workers.
Yeah. The thing is, humans are seen as products to be used and with no empathy. Like when he says, pull up the ladder when the flood comes. Throw enough rope until the legs have swung. 7 new ways that you can eat your young. So like talking about, so the flood is like this inevitable ending of the world. Like when we talk about the flood, it's going to get rid of everything. And who can like survive that kind of flood? People who can get on the ship. People who have the money and the resources. And with the fact that he says throw enough rope until the legs have swung, to me that is like putting up rope to hang bodies, right? To like get rid of bodies that aren't, that cannot be used, do not have space for, or to eat. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Well, he's
like,
also talking like only throw enough so that the right people can get on. Like it's metaphoric of like the first part before the rope part. What was the line?
it says pull up the ladder when the flood comes. Throw enough rope until the legs have swung.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I
Sorry. When I
misinterpreted
think
it.
of that with the leg swinging, I think of
No,
like
you're right.
someone being
That's what I was
hung. But
thinking.
like, so like this like me or no one else, like me above everybody else. Like I'm gonna save myself on the ship, and there's gonna be tons of people who die, and I don't care because I want to live and I only care about my life.
Yeah.
And this song just really talks about mass consumerism, the rich. Obviously, I'm not going to blame poor people for like the fact that we are in this cycle. I'm going to blame the people who have the most control over it, which is the rich. But like Kaylin said, mentioning back to what I had said, is that like, you know, people are starting to get very stuck in this cycle of like treating even service workers horribly because they want some sort of control. They want to feel like they can be served kind of thing in a specific way that basically dehumanizes the person that's working for them, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I really
Yeah,
love
Like,
how
I give
Hozier
him
says
so
that.
much credit for writing stuff like this. There's a lot of artists, celebrities, whatever, out there that don't use their platform correctly. And I give Hozier 1,000 times credit for using his platform to speak up for people who can't get spoken for or don't get spoken for. He does it on the regular basis, and it means the world from like a minority to see him, even if it's him representing a different minority that I'm not a part of. Like, that's huge because there's people who have the platform who don't speak at all.
And I feel like he does it so right. Like he doesn't do
Yes.
it in a like white savior way, like whatsoever. He really does it in the way that I would expect and urge other creators to do
Yes.
it.
Like he's educating himself and educating others. He's not just like, I donate to the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm rich and can donate that. He's like, I also want to speak on it and talk about it and talk and make sure the conversation doesn't end. I want this to be a regular conversation because it should be.
Hmm. He's literally my god. He's the person I serve. I literally love this man. But yeah, overall with Eat Your Young, I love how intense it is. I love how it uses the literal example of eating your young and pulling from history where that was, suggested because that's how bad things were getting. And the fact that like I'm sure people were appalled hearing that and it's like, well, what I'm not actually going to eat my young, but the fact that I'm telling you that that's one of the only ways I'm coming up with ways to like survive
Survive.
means that maybe we are in a place that is not good and that you guys
Yes.
should do more to help the people that need the help. So I love just how brash this man is. I really do.
Kaylin's fun side note that reminded me of this song too. Did you know that only 3 people from the Titanic were from the third class? Everyone else that was saved was mostly first class and then second
Yeah.
class.
Yep.
See, that's
They
why I'm
let all the poor
talking.
people die.
Listen, if you're a Christian, that's fine. But listen, at the end of the day, I hate a lot of Christians. All right? That kind of fucking story shit, that makes me want to, like, burn Bibles.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck? First class citizens? Are you serious?
Yeah, they obviously there is the note, which I feel like some Titanic fucking, and I say this as a fellow autistic member, autistic, like, very passionate special interest for the Titanic is going to come from me. I will clarify that a lot of the first class rooms were towards the top, and that a lot of people did die on impact at the bottom, like, towards that. That being said, why was there only 3 survivors? Like, I feel like, and like, that even so, the second class citizens still had a chance to come up. It's just like, I know there's only, like, so few lifeboats. Like, I know that was, like, the main thing, but it's just, like, it's a very telling story. Like, this, even the boat itself was designed in greed with not having enough lifeboats for everyone, with not having everybody in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn, sorry, that gets me intense. Um,
Gonna eat you young.
so next song, Damage Gets Done. Mariah and I have
Mm.
talked about how I mentioned something about this song the other day during the High School Musical podcast, actually, about
Oh,
this
yeah?
song. And I love how this song talks about when you are actually enjoying your life and being happy and doing things that are authentically for you. That is not when the damage gets done. So a lot of
Yes.
people like to refer that to when you're younger, right? Before you're that doesn't mean you can't enjoy your life when you're older. I'm just saying when you're younger, you don't have as many people telling you who you should be. You don't have as many people like you're not jaded, you're not like you haven't really gotten into the world where people start to really nitpick at you. And there are many things I can look back at in my youth that I think don't make me happy, but there are so many things I did in my youth where I was just being myself. I wasn't letting the real world problems or other people's opinions affect what I wanted to do. And he
Mm-hmm.
talks about in this song where damage gets done not during that time, like later in life when people are affecting you and trying to control you and they think they're helping you but really they're actually making your life harder because you're forgetting who you are because you're the only person that can tell you that. So this damage starts to occur as you start listening to other people. And I can even look at my own life, like when there was very big time in my life, like 3 years ago, no, more like 4 or 5 years ago, when I started just really abandoning myself and forgetting what I wanted because I was so concerned with making other people happy. And then that's when the damage started really coming into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like the beginning of the song he talks about like material things first. He like talks about how like money. Basically, what he's saying is like a lot of like money and what you own doesn't matter. It's like the connections and the people And I know he says, like, being reckless and young is what's important versus, like, trying to achieve all these material things. I think this song is, like, the classic example of, like, the song being a bop, but actually having sad lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, if you really break down the lyrics, he talks about how, like, life really can get out of hand if you don't enjoy, like, the young, dumb things that you can do in life.
Well, I love when he says, it's the comforts that make us feel numb. We'd go out with no way to get home, and we'd sleep on somebody's floor and wake up feeling like a millionaire. And I love the fact that he says the comforts make us feel numb, because when you live comfortably, you I feel like you're in this state of stagnancy, or like, I don't know, like just a straight line where you're like, because I'm comfortable, I'm afraid of experiencing what really great highs could be, because there's a very high chance I will experience lows or not have the comfort of whether it's a very nice paycheck or status.
Yeah, even in, like, the second verse, he breaks it down and he's like, you and I had nothing to show but the best of the world in the palm of our hands, and darling, I haven't felt it since then. I don't know how the feelings ended, but I know being reckless and young is how the damage gets done. So he literally is saying, like, like, we had everything with us, whether it was, like, the happiness. Like, think about, like, those moments, like, we always talk about when we had COVID, when we were playing Little Nightmares. It felt like everything just made sense. We had nothing besides, like, the three of us sitting there watching Arcane and playing Little Nightmares. And, like, we say, like, we haven't felt that way since.
We knew what our love was worth when we had nothing. Bro, I hate this man.
Now we're always missing something.
I want to say something.
We did not need much. Yeah, Kaylin?
Sorry, I was waiting, and, like, y'all kept saying more points, and I was like, I kept saying, yeah, I was, like, but y'all were going back and forth so well and pop it off. I was like, y'all can't see me on the camera, but I really want to, like, say these before y'all run out of stuff to say, because I, like, I want to say something, too. So this song, it reminds me of the kind of songs like Anna's Son or Fast Car about, like, young, in love, and also just, like, poor, but, like, could live in a cardboard box completely happy and in love. And I took it, like, the song, as, like, getting lost over time, like, disconnected with that self, because, like, it even referenced, like, as long as our car can drive, like, that first car was, like, angel wings, like, it, like, as long as it cranked that day, baby, like, that's all we needed to do,
Yes, the hook, he literally says that. Crying. He says, like, our love is what kept the car going, basically. The whole song he talks about. I mean, he even starts off the song saying something along the lines of, like, I only had 2 clothing items and you wore one when you were with me. He's like, I had 2 shirts to my name and you wore one.
Aww.
Like, the whole time. Hold on, let me pull up the hook, because, Kaylin, that line about the song is so good. And he says, and if the car ran, the car was enough. If the sun shone on us, it was a plus. And the tank was always filled up, only enough for getting there.
He says,
and he always, like, the whole thing is talking about how, like, the material items don't matter. The things in this world, like the money, the house, all of this stuff that we think is important doesn't matter as long as you have these, like, real, like, true, like, love and relationships. That's what keeps you going.
Guys, I can't.
And he's saying, like, that's the damage gets done when that is what slips up.
I'm literally so upset right now, guys. He says, you were steering my heart like a wheel in your hands, and darling, I haven't felt it since then. I don't know how the feeling ended, but I know being reckless and young is not how the damage gets done.
And, yeah, because it takes a twist. It's so good. The song is so good. God, I think I've shared my Instagram story like 3 times already. Every time I hear it, I'm like,
it's 11. Kind of sad.
It's like, 11.
It's 11.
I look at my childhood and how, like, money was, like, constantly like a struggle, and I look at how dysfunctional my parents were, but, like, it's not having stuff. It's not that. It's like they didn't have the love clearly enough. Like, I mean, obviously they didn't. And it's not the young and the reckless. Like, it's that feeling. And I think that couples really, like, I think to keep it alive, you have to practice gratitude. And, like, at the end of the day, all things do end. You will get old and, like, things do change or whatever. And, like, you're not going to have the exact same feeling. But I think to preserve it to where it, like, obviously doesn't, like, end indefinitely, I think that you have to practice gratitude with one another.
Kaylin's trying to murder me because this, again, how I said, the album tells a story. So the next song goes into darkness, which goes into all things. And Kaylin just triggered me emotionally. Anyway, let's just finish. Yes, Kaylin, that is so true. And he even, like you said, he says at the end, like, that being reckless and young isn't always it. And the way the song ends, like, kills me when he slows it down and he says, "All I needed was someone when the whole wide world felt young."
Before
So he's saying,
Hozier,
even though he was with that person and he felt like the all he needed was someone to make the world feel better, he's also reflecting and realizing that not always is being reckless and young the solution.
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
he's also saying that it's not always the person that makes you
Yes.
happy either, right? It's the real love that you have for one another. And if that person's gone, that doesn't mean that you can't feel that way again, because you don't need things and you don't need people to be happy, you know, to
Yes.
experience what
Yes. And
actually
it
matters.
hurts me every time because the song sounds like such a bop. And then he slows down and he says, "That's not how the damage gets done. All I needed was someone."
by the
When I
way,
felt
guys, I
like
want
I
to
needed
remind you we're at the
someone.
fourth ring of hell, and it is the greed one. Just to let you know that it's the damage gets done, which I think it's funny that it's greed.
I think it's funny because he talks about greed in the song. He's making
Yes.
commentary on, we all think that
We had
happy
enough.
things come from houses and cars and all the hottest bitches. I don't know, but like
Yeah.
it's not. I always love how his songs do talk about the sin itself, but in a beautiful way. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you can look at Francesca and be like, "Oh, that's lust," because they were with one another when they shouldn't have been. But it was true love, and they were showing up for each other no matter what other people thought. I love the dichotomy where at first he tries to make it out to be like, "Yeah, we are in that ring of hell, the lust one," but it's actually really written about real love. And the same thing with
And
this
I
one.
think he just keeps showing like that we're not perfect beings. None of us are perfect beings. Even like once we're down to damage gets done, like, like these are mistakes that you're going to learn more than once. Like him realizing like, this love might not have been what I needed, or this person might not have been what I needed to make me happy. It's not something that you're going to learn one time.
Yeah.
And he does a great way of telling the story, even just throughout the song. Like, this is what I needed. This is what I didn't need. This is what I needed. This is what I thought I needed. Turns out I didn't need that at all.
Yes.
Greed definitely is about like having plenty enough, but like that, chase after more. And I think that's definitely like maybe what this couple had gone through. I mean, like I said, it reminds me of a couple of other like really cute songs about like, a couple so in love, they live in a cardboard box together. But like
Yeah, I mean,
usually the
it even
songs talk
tells.
about like at the same time this dream, like we want the American dream, like we want the picket fence and stuff like that. But I think that sometimes you can get so lost in working and so tired from the system that like it does start to eat away at you, and it's like that's just the punishment of the deadly sin.
Yeah, and he even says like with the greed, like he realizes like maybe I didn't even need that person. I just felt like I needed it because that's what the whole world had, and I was young.
Yeah.
It's a good song. It's a good song. It shows up every time.
Hold on.
It eats.
Hold on.
So we can do who we are, and then we can do a part 2 next week.
Yeah. Because this is good. This is good. I'm having a good time.
But I want to do Song of Nyx and All Things End back to back. So I would prefer if we stopped at who we
That's
are.
fine. I mean, we're already at an hour and 10, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so who we are.
This is the 5th ring of hell, and it is wrath.
For me, this song was really about like getting upset about abandoning yourself. Like recognizing, oh, all this time has passed and I'm not doing what I want, or I'm not happy with where I'm at, and it's because I did it for something I didn't care about. But that's kind of how I interpreted the song. How did you guys?
Oh, he definitely, again, telling the story. He starts off with that anger, like you said, and then it kind of concludes with the sentence of like, or the realization like, basically we're only human. Like, at the end of the day, it's just who we are. Even if like things I'm mad, it could have went a different way. We are just who we are at the end of the day. And it's this song definitely about that ex. I don't know what the fuck that ex did to him. But
Yeah.
that's definitely it's him realizing like, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, this is just who we are. We're human beings, and that's okay.
I really like when he says, "Falling from you drop by drop, what I had left here, I just held it tight so that someone with your eyes might come in time to hold me like water, or Christ hold me like a knife."
Yeah.
Like talking about like putting this hope and expectation in someone else from a previous lover because he thinks they're going to save him,
Yeah.
I like the line right after that, actually, where he says, "You and I burned out our steam chasing someone else's dream. How can something be so much heavier but so much less than what it seems?"
Mm-hmm. Damn.
Why does it give the one that got away vibes? Like, that's kind of what I got from it.
It is. I mean, I think that, like Kinsey said, he starts off angry, and I think he wanted so desperately for it to work out, and then he just realized, like, that's just who we are. It's not going to. Like, it's just the people we are, the love that we have, like, whatever human experience, it's just not it.
I love when this
I didn't
man
need
yells.
to hear that. I need to go. I can't hear that right now.
Perfect timing, because that's the last song we're covering. So you can go and take a safe space break.
I'm just saying.
We were born at night. So much of our lives is just carving through the dark to get so far. And the hardest part is who we are. It's who we are. You only feel it when it's lost.
Finding out who you are is so hard because it's in the darkness. It's you walking around with your eyes gouged out, really. Doesn't even matter how dark it is. And you have to, like, single-handedly put your eyeballs back in your face for you to see anything. Like, that's how self-discovery feels to me.
I think it's, like, blind, and I almost, like, am mixing it, kind of like the sculpting it with your hands. Like, you're a sculptor in the dark, and you have to, like, carve this marble out, and only after you carve it can, like, you're even allowed to turn on the light. I don't know.
I know.
But you have to use your hands to feel it. Like, you can't just, like, carve what you want to see. Like, I can't just, like, imagine, you know, something like I want to be. I have to literally feel it out. Like, no, this doesn't feel right. This feels right. Like, it has to be very natural the way that, like, you carve the sculpture of your, like, you know, at least figuring it out. Like, developing what... Because I also think it's a half development, half it's already in the marble. And you have to, like, rip it out.
If you think about it, a big slab of marble, I always think about the SpongeBob episode, the artwork is in there, regardless of if it's carved or not. It's in there, right? Yeah. But you have to be the person to carve the outside marble to make it come out. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what Da Vinci said, too. He said that he doesn't pick his sculptors. He said his hands are just the tools to let the artwork come out.
Yes. So it's like when you, like, extract information about yourself, it's already there. You just can't see it. Just like the marble. We're like this marble slate, and the more self-work we do, it comes out, and it was always inside of the marble, just floating in there, waiting for you to carve it out.
You can't force this sculpture either to be something that it's not. That's another point. Like, if you want to be this, like, mysterious kind of Scorpio bitch, you're just not. You're Sagittarius. Right? I don't know. It's the Leo rising. I can't tell you. You can't scarve a mysterious-looking Scorpio statue. That's not what you're not.
I think the best artwork that will come out will be the artwork that is intentionally you. You know, like when you try to make it something it's not, you're like not going to make good artwork. It's like making a painter do sculpture when really they like to paint. You know, like the sculpture's probably not going to come out because you don't actually like to do that. But like with yourself and discovery. Yeah, this song, it's sad because he does feel angry. It's almost like being ripped something away that you really, really wanted, and it just didn't work out the way you wanted it to, and being angry, but then, like, this acceptance at the end. He says, you only feel it when it's lost. Getting through still has its cost. Quietly, it slips through your fingers, love, fallen from you drop by drop. Like, this, like, sure, he's angry. He tried everything to control the situation, but, like, just this sad acceptance of, like, that is what it is. No matter how much I tried to have held on to it, it wouldn't have gone the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need a therapist if I just read these songs.
Listen to Hozier.
Or maybe you do need a therapist after listening this.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Hozier does. He, like, almost, if you really wanted to just, like, if you're like, Hozier's my therapist, he gives you this type of closure where it's like he's accepting it and he's explaining his process of acceptance. And that's why I'm telling you, this whole album is all him accepting where he is in the grief or whatever, the love that he has, had, and will have.
I hate him. Oh my God. Like, he upsets me. Like, oh, he's such a divine being.
Yeah.
We need to end the podcast.
I vote next week we finish this off.
Yeah, let's Kinsey part 2 for next week. Haha.
Haha. Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye. Hope you enjoyed the Hozier episode.